Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. I am super excited for today's episode. This is a different one for me. This is the first time that I've gotten a gift before the podcast started. So I'm very excited to be talking to Daniel about this. He's the co-creator of the X Factor Effect methodology, where him and his team, they have helped over 20,000 students and clients grow their businesses. So I'm excited because I'm actually going to go through this whole box of goodies here and experience it for myself. But today we're going to talk to him about his rockstar business. So, hey, Daniel, you ready to rock?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim Melanson. It's such an honor to be here on the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast with the. Yeah, I don't know if your listeners appreciate the fact that you are actually the Work at Home Rockstar. You are the Work at Home Rockstar. In fact, like you said, like twice a week you're going out doing shows, and then
Yeah.
but your real business, the creative crew agency, building websites for people, you are the Work at Home rock star, which is super cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm definitely wearing a lot of hats, that's for sure. But that's what it's all about, right? Trying to have fun, right? So
Yeah,
we
good
always
times,
start
rock and roll.
you bet. So we always start off here on a good note, which we already have, but tell us a story of success in your business that we can all be inspired by.
Sure, yeah. So over the past 12 years, my business partner in Brazil actually and we built a movement. And so we have this methodology, the X Factor Effect methodology, and we grew this movement and we helped over 20,000 students and clients, a lot of them from Brazil, some people outside of Brazil. And then that's where we had our grand slam, right? And we with on social media, we grew the following across our social media accounts to over 2 million followers.
Hmm.
And the movement we built, which is all about doing things different in your business and becoming that market leader through differentiation through the X Factor Effect methodology, that movement allowed us to do some really, really cool things. And the biggest event we ever did for our students and clients was for 7,400
Wow.
people right before the pandemic. In 2020, actually, it was February of 2020. Literally right before it. So for 7,400 people. And it was just a party, and we were on top of the world, and then the world shut down. But anyway.
Yeah, the shutdown was a little bit weird for all of us, eh?
Yeah, 100%. But
7,000. Wow.
but yeah, so sometimes we have these big ambitions and hey, we're gonna build something big. Well, I've done it and it's possible, and I kind of know how we did it. So
Well, that's useful too to know how you got there. Cause I mean, sometimes it's just over time, your audiences grow and grow and grow. I have not hit a 7,000. Well, maybe I have. I played on Canada Day one time downtown in Ottawa so that would have been tens of thousands of people that would have been walking
that's
by, but
cool.
that wasn't me. That was
No, that's
today.
still there we go. We're both rock stars. Love it. Love it.
Oh,
Wish I would have been there during that event. That sounds like a blast.
Canada Day in Ottawa is pretty amazing. That's obviously the capital of Canada, but
Yeah.
it pales in comparison to some of the stuff that you have in the States. That's for sure. 'Cause,
Yeah. I've
uh,
been to Canada Day. It's is it the 5th?
it's the 1st of July, so it's
It's
coming
the
up
1st of
actually.
July. Okay. I knew it was really close
Mhm.
to the 4th of July. I was like, was it the 5th? No, it's the 1st. Gotcha. And I've been there in Canada Day near Kelowna,
Yeah,
British Columbia.
yeah.
We were up at Big White, if you've ever been to the Big White ski resort
Nope.
over there. Really fun. Really fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Canada Day is pretty fun here for sure. But I mean, hey, that has nothing to do with business. I mean, having 7,000 people in a room for a business conference is a lot different than for a concert, that's for sure. So kudos for you.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it did take a while to build that. It took a while to build up to that. Our first event, um, before we built up to
Mhm.
7,400. It was the first event we did hit 1,000,
Wow.
and then it was right around 2,500. And so 1,000 in 2017, 2,500 in 2018, 2019 was right around 4,500. And then we hit 74 in 2020, right before the pandemic. So
Jeez.
built over time.
And
But
now, are you starting over again, or are you still doing events now? Like,
so
have things open?
what with everything that we've done down in Brazil, when I started working with my business partner down there, we said, hey, we're going to use Brazil as a blue ocean opportunity. So it was very strategic what we did. We said, we have some really cool methodologies, and people down here, nobody's learning this type of super high level strategic business building strategies that we teach in the X Factor effect. And so we're going to like beta test
Mhm.
in Brazil our methodologies, and then we're going to take it worldwide. And so with the box and the experience that I sent you, that is our first big push to, and we're starting to get boxes out, and we're going to start growing stuff with the rest of the world that, speaks English.
Yeah,
Now that we've beta tested with so many people down in Brazil.
I love that. All right, so now along with the good note, so I like to talk a little bit about the bad notes, the things that
Yeah, the
don't
bad
go as
notes.
planned, right? Because I mean, hey, we all go through them, and a lot of people are just afraid to move forward because they're scared of making a mistake. And I want to make sure that hey, we can recover from mistakes.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, what was something that was just really big and bad that happened to you that we can learn from?
Well, there was a big bad thing, lawsuit that we got hit with, but that's not the one so when you've had enough successes, the lawsuits, they're gonna eventually come. That's the lesson there. And
Mm,
you just gotta get your head on your shoulders and move forward. But the one that I think is gonna help most of us, the story was right before I started working with Pedro. I was a super affiliate, and I created a website, and I was like, it started converting like gangbusters. I mean, like, I was planning my retirement off of this. Like, I was like, I've done it. Like, I had multiple days where I was making like $1,000 per day profit, and
wow.
I was the only one with this type of website. And for 6 months, nobody was touching me. And about Tim, about all like the spy tools out there, and people like,
Yep.
you know, see what ads are working. And anyway, so eventually all of the other super affiliates, they find out that I've got this website that's working like gangbusters. And so after 6 months, finally I get my first copycat competitor. And they didn't just like copy like conceptually, they like word for word, like just ripped off the entire site.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, what? And there's not much you can do, like legal recourses of people stealing like your web copy or whatever. Like, you're a web designer and you
Yep.
do websites. It like you can like try to go after people, but wow, it's gonna take you forever to try to, you know, stop somebody basically.
Yeah.
It's just too easy to copy. And so one copycat competitor quickly turned into five, that turned into 10, turned into more than 50. And I estimate that it was close to 100 or possibly over 100 uh, copycat competitors when all was said and done. Here in 2024, because this was 2009 that I had that website, I still find versions of that site that I created with similar copy
Wow.
here in
Wow.
2024. And so what the problem was I had something in my business as a super affiliate that was too easily copied. It was too copyable. And that's part of the spark with why I started working with Pedro. And this is why I chose to share this story, is because that really bothersome part of my business journey, it allowed me to learn and fail forward. And we started creating this X Factor effect methodology. And conceptually, what we try to do with the X Factor effect methodology is we get you to the point where you can stack your differences that make a difference inside of your niche market and become uncopyable.
Yeah.
And the path to being uncopyable is you're going to have multiple big differences that you stack upon one another that makes you really a unicorn inside of your niche market, where if somebody did come along and copied every single difference that you're doing, it would be laughable, right? Yeah. So imagine if somebody comes along, Tim, and let's just pretend it's me. All right. So I'm a copycat. All right.
Yeah.
I'm the copycat. And I'm going to come along and I'm going to create the Web Design Rockstar Podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to do episode 1, 2, 3. Now you've got over 300 episodes.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to start, the Web Design Rockstar Podcast, and and then my agency, I'm the cool crew agency instead of the creative crew agency, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got a lot of things you do differently inside of your web design company, and let's say I start to mimic those as well. Well, at some point, people are going to be like, wait a second, this guy Daniel, like, well, what the heck is he doing? He's just trying to copy Tim. Like he's trying to be just like Tim. And so you get to the point where it's laughable, and I cannot ever become Tim. First of all, I'm not a rock star like up on stage like you are. I've rapped up on stage like a couple of times, but I do not play any instruments. Okay. But let's say I start saying, okay, and now I need to learn the guitar.
Yeah.
And now I need to learn how to sing. And then, it's just gonna be laughable. Okay, so Tim, and then I'm gonna get the beard. I'm gonna get the mustache like Tim. And we look pretty similar. And at some point, I could start to look pretty much like Tim.
Yep.
But it's gonna be the point of ridiculousness. And this happens in business all the time, where somebody tries to mimic the leader, and eventually it gets to the point where it's laughable. And the person who's trying to mimic the leader, they eventually get found out, and they don't end up breaking through the noise and having a wild success because they're just viewed as a copycat.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. And especially if some of those steps that you do are, not just copy paste steps. I think that's the big thing, right? I mean, if it's just copy paste, well, then it's too easy to copy, like you say. But I mean, if there are a few parts of your system that are just a work, right? I mean, hey, I found out pretty quickly that copycats are not looking to work, So if any of that process involves work, like real work, well, then they're not going to copy it, right?
Yep, 100%. That so I practiced what I preached with the book and the box experience, and I got to the point where I was like, if somebody copies what I've done here,
kudos to them.
A lot of work to try to copy what I've done with this box experience. So. And so there's that too. There's that barrier of entry, because with the website, I did have some people not only copy my headline and my ads and the copy, but I did have a couple of people who they downloaded my entire website and started to use the exact same images.
Wow.
Which is copy and paste, right? Illegal, but copy and paste. And so we want to find those differences that make a difference, that also have a barrier of entry. And we want to stack those differences one upon the other, where the copycat competitors at some point, they're gonna stop trying to mimic the leader.
Yeah.
Because it's too much work and there's too many things to try to copy.
Yep. Love it. I think that's really, really, really good advice. I like that. Now, so let's just talk a little bit about these. I mean, you obviously use tools in order to get your message across. So what do you think about that? Like, why did you decide to use tools to in your system, I guess?
Yeah. So when it comes to tools, we have, step-by-step processes, and we try to go super high level strategic with everything that we teach. Um, I loosely use the word tools, because the tools and the tactics always change, but conceptually, when it comes to building a business and when it comes to marketing and sales and all of that, there are marketing principles that can't be ignored. Um, and sometimes we're all like you, Tim, and I, Daniel, we're both using the same marketing principles, and that's why what we are doing works.
Hmm.
And then the tactics change. So, for example, today, some of my dream customers are on TikTok, and I need to start doing more TikTok because some of my dream customers are hanging out on TikTok. Well, that's a tool change. That's a tactical change. But the marketing principles I'm going to follow in order to capture their attention, the principles are going to stay inside of the same realm. And I'm going to follow more of the principles in order to attract their attention on TikTok. And so what we've done with the X Factor effect and the 9 pillars that we teach is they're tools, right? The 9 pillars are tools, but they are high level strategic tools that are evergreen.
Yeah.
10 years from now, we will be teaching these same 9 pillars, and we will stay in the realm of teaching these 9 pillars because the marketing psychology for us as humans isn't going to change. What gets us to take action isn't going to change within 10 years. So we stay in the realm of the principles. We teach the principles, and then we allow the tactics and the tools to continually change, and we just go where our dream customers are hanging out.
Yeah, it's really cool to make that distinction, because I know that when when we talk about finding mentors and finding teachers and trying to copy success from somebody that's had success before, sometimes if someone had success 10, 20 years ago, the things that they did back then are not the same as the things that we do right now. And so
Yeah.
sometimes people might think, wow, there's no point in me going to talk to that guy because he got success in the 90s. And obviously we live in a different world right now. But what you're saying is that there are certain principles that happened that were used in the 90s that still exist today.
Yeah.
It's just that the tactics that we're using are different than than they were back then. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. So, for example, I'm on ClickFunnels 2.0. That's, and not everybody loves ClickFunnels, but I'm on and not everybody loves ClickFunnels 2.0. And so in one of my businesses, so I built out, and that's a tool like ClickFunnels 2.0. But the concept of, upsells and downsells and, providing value and selling dollars for dimes,
Mhm.
which I don't know how you would say that in Canada. So
No, we have dollars and dimes. Yeah.
you do have dollars and dimes. There you
Yeah.
go. I was like, is it called a dime? And
It
because
is.
I'm familiar with it, I was like, is 10-cent piece called a dime? in Canada? Okay, there you go. So those are the principles, right? We want to sell dollars for dimes, which, I want to provide 10x as much value as what I'm asking for. So I want to provide you $1,000 worth of value and ask for $97 as payment, right?
Okay. Yep.
Sell dollars for dimes. That's a principle. It worked in the 90s. It worked into the early 2000s. It works in 2024. And I can, and in the 90s, I could build a website where I sold dollars for dimes. And then I could have upsells. It was a lot harder before the tool of, ClickFunnels and
Oh
everything
yeah.
to
Yeah.
build it out, like way, 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 way harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
But conceptually, I could upsell, downsell, cross sell in the 90s, just like I can today.
Yeah.
And so the natural question is, okay, great. I get it. The tools always change. The tactics change, but the principles are evergreen. And so when it comes to the principles, what are the high level strategic principles that are going to allow me to differentiate and that will help me become a market leader or category king? So if it's all right with you, Tim, I don't think we don't have time to go into all 9.
Mhm.
But I think we should at least hit on a few so people
Yeah,
kind of
let's
have
do that.
conceptually an idea. Awesome. Um, one of the things I think is important to share because of the story I shared in the beginning with having an event for 7,400 people. One of the principles, one of the 9 pillars is lead your tribe. Okay. We have a whole methodology that we teach about building a tribe. And so there are brands in the 90s. And we keep going back to the 90s that started to build tribes. Apple, Harley Davidson, etc. And then those tribes are even stronger today. We started to realize the importance of, hey, if we're going to build event year over year, we want to bring people into our tribe. And so that's one of the big principles is how can your marketing and everything that you do online invite people to be part of something, more than just, hey, I'm going to get online access to a course or whatever.
Mhm.
And so we started to bring people together and really go deep into the tribe building aspect of things. And it's not easy, but because we did it and because we were intentional about bringing people together and forming the tribe and caring if people interacted within the tribe and incentivizing people to network within the tribe and help each other within the tribe. Because we did that year over year up until the pandemic, we were able to get more and more people to come to our events. So that's one of the 9 pillars. Now you, Tim, you've already started to do this. So congratulations.
Mhm.
You're starting to build a tribe of work at home rock stars. And people can identify that. Oh, I want to be part of Tim's tribe. I want to be a work at home rock star. And once you have that desire starting to be built, the question is, how do I solidify that? How do I bring more people into the fold? And how do I bring more engagement into the fold and bring people together more and more where this is more than just a podcast. This is more than just web design services. This is something I want to be a part of.
Right on. I love that. I love that so much. It's so cool to hear how you're explaining all this stuff because it does make perfect sense, right? And it is what you can probably see too. I mean, if you're looking around the internet, you're probably like, "Oh, okay, that's what they're doing." Right? I mean, people are creating
Yeah.
communities, they're creating and the good news is that nowadays I would say it's a lot easier to do some of this stuff, right? I mean, than it
Oh
was
yeah.
in the 90s, right?
Yeah. Especially because everybody has a voice in 2024.
Everybody has
It's
a voice.
it's a curse and a blessing. The noise level is through the roof. So you have to be intentional. And that's why, so another one of the pillars is we say create ideas that influence, which is all about the book. It's all about creating a unique marketing message that breaks through the noise.
Mhm.
And we teach you that you have to be intentional about it. You have to be smart about it. Lots of marketers say, hey, just throw spaghetti up against the wall and see what sticks. And we say, yes, but at the same time, and so in 2024, so with a pillar of create ideas that influence, this is the problem we run into. We're all exposed to about 4 to 10,000 different ads and marketing pieces every single day, like buying for our attention, which is
Yeah.
this is according to a recent Forbes article. 4 to 10,000 different things. That's insane. And so the question is, how can we be intentional enough to be the one thing that people remember today? Because they're going to be exposed to those thousands of pieces of information today. Your dream customers, they will be exposed to that thousands of pieces of information. And you want to be the one thing that they remember today.
Yeah.
because it's usually all about, it's usually one. If you think back to yesterday, Tim, which I know it's tough. I always ask people this, and sometimes they remember one thing, and sometimes they remember nothing. But the question is, and I'm asking you, Tim, so do you remember anything from all the noise from yesterday that like caught your attention? Is there
Uh,
anything that stood out?
From yesterday's noise. Wow, that's a really good question. Not really. Yeah, I now that I think about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, those advertisers, they were trying to get your attention, Tim, and nothing stood out. So usually it's like nothing or one thing caught your attention. And so that we want to be that one thing, and we can't be that one thing. We can't break through the noise with our unique marketing message that really grabs our dream customers by the shoulders and says, "Hey, like this is for you." We can't do it if we're not a bit more intentional about our marketing messages.
Yeah. Yeah, and that yeah, because really when it comes down to it is that it's always going to take work. Like, I mean, this goes back to what we talked about earlier. If it's easy to copy, it's easy to do, well, then everybody's doing it. And so
Yep.
there's always like it's like the bar just keeps getting raised, right?
Yep.
Maybe back in in the 90s, like we say, and it was different. The work you had to do back then might have even have been easier. I don't know. But it was actually it was probably easier, but just costed more money. You just had to put more money into a billboard ad or whatever it was,
Right.
right? Now it
Right.
doesn't cost anything to get your face on social media and start to reach your audience. But but like you say, everybody's doing it. So now how do you step up against all that, right?
Yep. Yep. There we go. And yeah, that's
I,
why I wrote Ideas That Influence, because so many people are like, "Oh man, there's too much noise. I tried a marketing campaign and it failed."
yeah.
And it's like, well, we've got a solution for that.
So now that you're touching all these people, obviously you have you're seen as a mentor now, but I'm wondering, did you have mentors? Like, did you have people that you leaned on to get the knowledge that you have right now?
Oh yeah, 100%. So that's unavoidable. And I try, most people, well, not most people, I'd say a lot of people, uh, and it could be most people. But a lot of people, they attribute their success to like one big mentor or everything. Mine was definitely an aggregate. So, um, if there are any Jim Edwards fans out there, in 2007, I still have the receipt pulled up on ClickBank. I bought my first ebook from Jim Edwards, my first info product from Jim Edwards, which was 7-day ebook. Now he still sells that in 2024.
Wow.
Talk about evergreen marketing. So he still teaches you how you can create an ebook or a book in like 7 days or whatever. But I bought that in 2017, and he quickly, like, I bought it and I devoured it, and I created my first ebook quickly after. And then he told me about this crazy guy that some of us have heard of and some of us haven't, which absolutely love. Like, he reminds me of myself. I say crazy guy because I'm a crazy guy, right? So his name's Marlon Sanders. And going back to the concept of selling dollars for dimes, it's one of the biggest marketing lessons that I've ever learned. And it was Marlon Sanders that introduced me to that concept, that selling is easy, because I'll prove it to you. If I had a table worth with a bunch of dollar bills, and you understand that this is a real offer, like I've got all these dollar bills, and you can give me as many dimes as possible, 10 cents a piece for each dollar. How many are you going to buy, Tim?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess how many am I gonna buy? Good question. Uh
Well, if you're smart, you're going to buy all of those.
I think so. I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Yeah. So the concept here is selling is easy. If you are actually, if I'm giving away $100 bills for $10 a piece, how many are you going to buy? You're going to buy all of them.
All of them. Yeah.
Selling is easy, as long as what you're selling, and goes back to a marketing principle, is 10x the value of what you are asking as your asking price.
Yeah.
And so the trick is, how can the value of what I'm offering you easily be shown as 10x the value of the price I'm asking for without going bankrupt, of course, because if I'm selling actual $100 bills for $10 a piece, then I will go bankrupt. But we can provide $100 worth of value inside of our businesses to our dream customers and charge $10 a piece if we work out the right economics and if we use leverage to stack the value inside of what we're offering. So
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. And
so
and that's
yeah, the answer to that was yes. Multiple people helped me, and they were the first two.
love it. Yeah, and I think that that's probably the best way to do it, right? To have multiple mentors, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Especially considering there's so many different strategies out there and so many different things, and you can really start to match your style and create your own thing, right? Through instead of being a copy of somebody.
yeah. Exactly. I mean, in 2024, one of my favorites is Alex Hormozy. Another one of my favorites is Dan Kennedy. Sometimes I'll just go back and forth with, I'm going to listen to some old Dan Kennedy trainings, and then I'm going to jump and listen to what Alex Hormozy has to say and go back and forth. So, there's too many mentors, but I think it's healthy to get a paradigm from like different viewpoints, right? To pick pieces here and there, because if you get stuck with just one mentor, you might fall down the path of, I need to do everything just like that mentor. And then that can be an unhealthy way to try to scale your business, because you get stuck in a paradigm of what one person is teaching you.
Yeah, right on. So it's time for you to guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
Oh, the exciting thing is definitely the book and the box experience. That is, people are absolutely loving it. So the concept for that was, I was going to launch a free plus shipping book just like everybody else, but we are the X Factor guys. We do things differently. And there are a lot of free plus shipping books out there. And it's not that a free plus shipping book offer isn't different. It's just, it's not as different as it used to be in 2024. You see free plus shipping books every single day on, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. So I said, okay, how am I going to do things differently? And because I wrote the book and I was like, this is amazing. People are absolutely going to love it. People are going to create marketing, wildly successful marketing that breaks through the noise. How do I do it different though? How do I have the book practice what it preaches? And so I took a lot of extra time to create a box experience with it. And I turned the whole book plus box experience into a free plus shipping funnel. So it's the very first of its kind. Nothing like it exists, and people are absolutely loving it. It's a free plus shipping interactive book box experience. We send it out, and the hope was that I could give out boxes without going bankrupt, as a free plus shipping funnel.
Yeah.
And then so we had to be very meticulous with our OTOs and with what we're building on the back end. And so far, we are giving away boxes slightly profitable, which is incredible. So we're super excited. So
Well, and that's awesome, because really your boxes are really your marketing campaign, and marketing campaigns are supposed to cost money.
Yeah.
So if you're actually making money from your marketing campaign, then you're further ahead than most people. So
yeah. I was like, man, I was setting myself up for, I was planning on possibly losing money every single time a box goes out.
Yeah.
And then making up for it on the back end with the high ticket coaching program.
Yep.
But so far, not including the high ticket program that we are planning on offering people. So far, we are slightly profitable, and I'm just like, wow, woo, this is exciting, because if you on the front end selling to cold audiences have something profitable, so self-liquidating offer, right? That's what we call it.
Yeah.
Tim knows all about those, right?
I love it. I think it's a brilliant idea. I really do. The second that I got it, I started posting about it on my social media and how cool it was. And I imagine that's great for you. I mean, you got people that are like just shocked at this stuff and going like, this is big. This is, a lot of extra work that you've put into this stuff. And number one, it's definitely, I mean, people can copy it, but they're going to put the work in.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
but yeah,
I've told people how to copy it and they haven't done it yet. So
no,
because people ask me and I'm like, so this is who I used and they're like, wow, this is too much work.
yeah.
I actually want people to because you can't copy what I've done without being different at the same time, because you're going to have to write, like if you do a interactive book box experience, you're going to have to write your book first of
Yeah.
all. And then all the pieces you're going to include in your box are going to be different than my pieces. So you're still going to be different. So
It has to be different, yeah, and I mean, it's gonna take a lot of thought. I think actually it's a great idea too. I think that people should copyright because
yeah,
it will flush out a bunch of stuff when they're trying to build their experience, right? I mean,
yeah.
it's gonna have to be different, like you say. It's got to be a different book. I mean, they can't copy everything. I imagine it'll be easier to sue somebody if they copy everything. The exact
Exactly.
same book and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Right?
It's not like the website. Like, yeah, you can't actually copy this. And this actually, to go back to the pillars, the X factor effect pillars, one of them we teach is to join the age of experience, which means add a level of experience to any of the products or services that
Mm,
you sell. And the really cool thing about experience is a differentiator, and this is why it's okay if people copy conceptually what I've done with the box, is that the experience that Tim creates with his box experience and his book cannot be the same experience that I provide.
mhm.
It's going to be drastically different. I mean, you're going to have stuff that ties back to music and
Yep.
Rockstar and then you're going to tie it to web design, and you're talking about a completely different animal, and the experience that I have with whatever box and book that you're putting together is going to be completely different than what I've put together. And so that's why experience, for anybody that's like, okay, how do I follow more of the X factor stuff that you're teaching? Add a level of experience, and the experience you have with me will always be different than the experience that you have with Tim
Yeah.
or the experience that you have with Apple or Disney or Harley Davidson. Experience is one of our favorite differentiators, and people love a great experience.
Yeah, you do. Daniel, I think this is so awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for rocking out with me today. But before we go, how do we get this?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I've made it super easy. If you go to bigideasbox.com, big ideas with an S, bigideasbox.com, then you're taken to the page and you just put in your shipping information and you just pay the shipping and handling.
Mhm.
I'm going to send the entire book plus box experience out to you so you can experience it yourself. And so if you've struggled with breaking through the noise, break through the noise, guys. We're helping you break through the noise, stand out, be different, and specifically ideas that influence helps you come up with those wildly successful marketing ideas that break through the noise. And I promise you're going to absolutely love it, because there's no experience like it anywhere.
Yep. I agree. I definitely think you should go to bigboxideas.com.
Big ideas box.
Big Ideas Box.
But maybe I should buy big box ideas, because I've had more than one person like switch it around, and I'm like, dang it.
Yep.
And
you
now I
should
got
have
to
a
buy
forwarding.
both.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to put a link to it in the show notes anyway, so you can just click on that link. And that'll be
Awesome.
where you get it. But thank you so much for rocking out with me, Daniel. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, Tim. You're amazing. Rock on. Love all the work at Home Rockstars, and love the podcast. So many great episodes. I listened to multiple of them, and what you really got and you're building here is absolutely incredible. So thank you.
Thank you. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast.